Welcome to this, our second experience session. I'm just going to give people a little bit of time to trickle in as they join us. This is lunchtime, certainly in the European time zone. So we know it's often rushing between meetings or through events that you've had before this and coming and joining us in this session. So just giving everybody a moment to settle in. And as you join us, please add into the chat space a little hello. And we can do a slightly more formal version of that from Anne and I. So welcome from me. If we haven't met before, I'm Kim van Niekerk. I'm one of the co-creators at The View Looks Good. And will be one of the facilitators on the This Is Me program that launches on the 11th of May. I think that's probably all I need to say for now. Anne, a quick hello from you.
Yes, hello. I'm one of the other facilitators. I am currently in London with this most glorious day, but noticing a little bit of the hay fever tickle in the throat, so I might need to cough from time to time.
I think I'm getting away lightly actually, because there's a lot of pollen around here too, and somehow whatever my body function is that responds to hay fever has been very kind to me so far this year.
It must be all your love of the trees.
Oh, my love for the trees, it's so true. Um, So, just taking a moment to land in this space, and we're talking about movement today and how we use movement as part of practicing living nervous system first and working nervous system first, and why we put movement of the body in. We're going to cover all of that in this session and help you explore how position and movement of the body impacts so much. So, just take a moment to let go of whatever moment came before this and land and let your body be physically in this space. And also just check whether it's feeling the pull to be in a different space, maybe coming next. Like, is the mind also half paying attention to something else like a WhatsApp chat on your phone or emails? And completely natural. I mean, welcome to the era that we're in. But just notice how the mind might be pulling you into a future moment and away from this right now. Again, just noticing where everything is at. Now, we want to chat about somatic work or movement work today. And somatic, when I remember when I first saw the word, I was a bit scared by it. I was like, what is somatic practice? And I was having some very crazy thoughts about, is this involving being in a circle and chanting around a fire? And like, I don't know. Did your brain do any of that? Was it just
Oh,
mine?
totally. And actually, I've resisted bringing in any or talking about somatic work for a long time because it was this feeling of, oh, you're gonna have to do some really weird stuff for some, and that is next level crazy.
Yeah, exactly. I had the exact same word. Now, the other word that gets used a lot is embodiment practice. And I will never forget, I had a really like unexpected conversation with somebody who was coming to me to ask me about fundraising, which was very much an old space that I was working very heavily in. And as she was chatting, she updated me and she said, "Oh, I'm actually training to be an embodiment practitioner." And I just remember like my brain just scrambling, being, "What did you say?
Yeah.
What does that do?" And now that it's so much a part of our work, I have to remember that there was a time when I had no idea what this was, and it was so alien to me. And I remember her describing how she was looking at how the movement of the body changed how we felt, changed the thoughts that we could have, changed how we wanted to interact with the world. And again, it was just brain scramble. I really remember thinking, that's something very cool is there, but I need to go and have a closer look at it. I mean, this is how, I can't remember how many years ago this was now. Um, and I remember at that time, my awareness of my body was literally related to this zone here. The only thing I remember caring about was the quality of my thinking. Is my brain functioning? Is it performing? That was literally the extent to which I looked after or even thought about my body. Um, I mean, I've notoriously neglected it from like physical exercise, all of that. It was the only thing I paid attention to was my head and whether I could access it. And then caffeine was a really good solution for staying connected to my brain and its functioning. So the idea of actually paying attention to my body was very strange. And I don't know, Anne, for you, if there's anything you can relate to in that, or was it a more natural process for you?
Yes and no. I think I had connected with my body, possibly because of the amount of dancing I do, which is to love the movement of the body. And that's probably one of the reasons why I've realized just how important somatic work is because if I do not dance at least once a week, I can start to feel everything in me changing, my perspective changing, my thoughts changing. But when you just shared now, I realized, so I had a bit of a tough time falling pregnant and had two miscarriages before I had the little child that I did now. And I remember being so angry with my body and having this whole thing at that moment. So Brenda's like, my body was just supposed to work. Like I didn't ever give it attention. I didn't actually necessarily nourish it. I didn't really listen to when it told me I was overworking, when it told me I was in unhealthy or dysfunctional situations. I never listened to my body in that. I'm like, just shut up. Shh, shh. Keep working, family hold back, just, keep going, keep going. So in that sense, I really ignored my body to just push further, achieve more, do more. And that time that I went through of my body failing me has probably been one of those moments of actually realizing my body was speaking to me louder than I could have ever known. I was just switched off to it.
Yeah, yeah, I can so relate. And for me, I think one of the biggest contrasts was so if somatic literally just means of the body. So somatic work is the practice that invites us to feel, to notice, to respond to what's happening in the body, not just from the forehead up, as in was in my case, but the whole body. Is because the positioning and the feeling of the body is communicating constantly to the brain about how you should be feeling, what you should be thinking.
Mm.
So it's so funny to me now to think about ignoring the body because I might have my consciousness might have been ignoring the body, but nothing else in my body was ignoring the body.
Exactly.
It's kind of so comic. Um, and when we talk about living nervous systems first, we're talking about building a life that listens to and honors the state of our nervous system and the need for the body to move in order to return back to a balanced state once it's been dysregulated and put into a more of a survival state. So the body can hold on to physical sensation that keeps us stuck in survival, and we need to maybe consciously look at that in order to help it digest those moments and return back. So, paying attention to the body in which nervous system state is activated means we can consciously go, oh, what movement is needed in my body right now to come back to feeling into balance? Otherwise, the body could, on autopilot, hold you and keep you in a state of survival. And I think about so many moments in my life where my physique, just alone, shoulders up here with tension, um, holding the stiffness, that I felt that that was a result of my circumstances, a result of the really stressful things happening at work or at home. Body goes into tension, but holding the body in tension keeps the body in tension. And so it was this need to go, when I notice it, what does the body now need? So it's really about um, not being stuck in a state, um, but rather learning how to push the reset button
Mm.
that we've almost forgotten how to do naturally.
That's what I was just about to say. Is like there's an amazing thing about our bodies is that I think there is an intuition that sometimes does this for us. Like in certain situations, if you're feeling low and somebody gives you a really big hug in that moment and it is safe and you can feel the pain or the panic or the lowness just go away. Essentially, that is somatic work. But we haven't had to think about it, it's just happened. Or if we've had a really stressful day and there's just so much going on inside of us, so we're like, right, I'm like, my body just needs to move, and we just go for a run and we run. It's really like there's this natural intuition if we allow it to happen. But like I learned in my career and through, I suppose, a number of different factors in my life, I learned to ignore what the body was needing and learned to ignore what the nervous system was telling me because I was probably so much in a survival state that I had to keep going, 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 that I wasn't looking actually for that. And like, so grateful that things like dancing came around, that I have a family that is a contact family, and my sisters and I would do a gentle touch on each other's skin or massaging hands and feet. I mean, all of that is it's potentially a bit of a love language, but it was also a way of calming our nervous systems around each other, restoring, bringing that aliveness and that energy back into each other's lives. And I think those things happened by default, and I'm so grateful for them because I can see the impact. And now what I'm learning is that if we can become conscious of it, if we can become educated in this, then we don't have to wait for the by chance times that it happens, but actually we can take autonomy over our lives and we can then take the actions that need to be taken to respond to our nervous system. And that's what feels really cool. It's like, yeah, this is very normal, very natural. It just happens anyway. And now we don't have to wait for somebody else to do it for us. We can ask for it.
Yeah. I think that's it. It's about repatterning the pathways our nervous systems take when they meet stress, when they meet challenge, or even when they meet joy, whatever they're meeting. That how many times, I think, if we had to ask ourselves, have we wished we could snap out of it faster? Like get over feeling like this, or move on, or just come back to feeling ourselves. I think I've said all of those things to myself so many times. And by knowing what movement the body might need in any given moment, we allow a repatterning of those pathways. So we're going to feel the stressful moments, but it's so much easier to return and drop back into feeling ourselves grounded, back to feeling ourselves again with more capacity for life.
Mm.
So for us, this matters enormously, and it is a huge part of any of our training programs, but in particular, the This Is Me program that's going to be starting soon. And we wanted to give you a little sample of what it's like to feel your body and to pay attention to it and to notice it. And one of the things to say is if, much like me, you'd never really paid much attention to your body, and it's a new experience, sometimes it's really hard to notice the body. And that is a beautiful awareness. And it's just the beginning of a journey into then noticing. And we begin by noticing the absence of awareness or the absence of sensation. So I would always say I could feel down to my hips, but I could never feel my legs.
Mm.
And that was beautiful. I can feel them now. And I remember somebody saying, "Can you hear your heart beating?" And I was like, "What? No, no, I can't. Can now." So it is a journey, and just welcome in whatever level of awareness you can reach. But we wanted to get you feeling the impact that the position of your body has on the thoughts you can access, the emotions you can access, and just the general sensations that you can become aware of in your body. So here's our moment of play, and do take it like play. It's a wonderful thing just to be playing around with. And I'm going to kickstart us on this one. I would love to get people playing with what we can call the fetal pose. So seeing what we notice when we put our body into a position of being really small. So if you're sat down, you can do this stood up, sat down, however you're positioned, but it's rounding the hips so that you are really creating a movement forwards and down. And it's allowing the shoulders to round forward, the spine to curve forward. You can feel like it's this feeling of getting smaller. And then tucking the chin down. And it is that downward looking motion. And almost the eyelids really sort of become almost closed because the line of sight is so inward. And you can really just round yourself into feeling as small as you want to in this moment. And just take a little moment to sit into this position, to feel into it. And you might already have some awareness of how it's making you feel. It might be giving you some discomfort to be making yourself small like this. Just notice. Isn't it interesting? But one of the prompts you can give yourself is if you go into this position and you think of your day, you think of what you've got coming up ahead of this moment, what do you notice as you think of your day? What thoughts emerge? What actions do you find your body wanting to take or not to take? What emotion comes up? And if you want to pop anything into the chat about what you're noticing, please feel free to.
It's so interesting. I can start with sharing, so anyone listening, of course, your experience is your experience, but just to share what I've noticed is there's still something in me that when it's presenting, when it's live, when it's doing something for the world to see, that there's still a little bit of me that's extending. Maybe sometimes a lot of me that's extending, but it's still there. It's still not completely familiar. It's not completely safe for me. And when I just did this exercise now, the thought, oh, you're such a fraud. You're so terrible at this. Look at you. You have been extending. You've been trying to push your chest out so that you can be bigger than you are. Whoa. I just was like, oh, wow. I couldn't even think about the rest of the day. I was just thinking about, yeah, you're trying too hard. You're really quite small. I could feel like I almost wanted to I could feel tears wanting to come up to my eye of being like, oh yeah, this is really quite low. And then actions, I was like, oh, maybe I should just curl up and go into bed. Maybe that's the action I need to do for the rest of the day. Perhaps I could go and just find something warm and cozy, and that's about all I've got for. That's what my body needs right now.
Yeah.
Quite, and I was quite chirpy before we started this.
We'll get there again, don't worry. But isn't it? It's fascinating, and one of the people we're going to be sharing some information about in the program, her techniques really highlight that actually this chin down positioning that we've got um, on our phones walking around, it's really that isn't that the position, like the head tucked in and down, is really triggering of this sensation of smallness and apathy that goes alongside that dorsal nervous system getting activated, of that shutdown collapse state. So the body is being wired into that space. So and I'll be texting you like this from now on. But a beautiful play. And the thing that before we came across somatic work was that I would really identify with those thoughts and those sensations. That would be how I was feeling in that moment. There wasn't this awareness of my body has just helped me to feel that way.
Mm.
My body has given me access to that room of thoughts. So, just so fascinating about how powerful the physicality is.
Yeah. And it's not the full picture, but if you're not aware of it, you can be looking at the one tiny little hole in the bigger, massive masterpiece that's there, and then fixating on that one little tiny hole, not being able to bring yourself out.
Yeah. I wonder if you can move us into
Yeah,
the
let's
other experience.
okay, for this one, so quite a resistant feeling. I want you to put your hands up in front of you, and if you are pushing something quite heavy away, get away. Really can feel your back muscles needing to tense up to push it away.
I want to do it here actually.
Feel yourself just, and whilst you're holding this pose, I want you to think about your day. Noticing what thoughts are coming to mind, noticing what actions you're wanting to take, and noticing what emotions you're feeling. Hold that, like, it's quite hard to hold this one for a long time.
It's hard. I'm not enjoying this at all. But I know that I'm familiar with this in a not as intense like, not as intense an experience as that, but what comes up, when like I don't want to do something. I mean, my hands don't go up, but they probably would if I let them. Can I share what came up though as I was doing it? It was just no, I'm not going to share that with you. I'm not going to tell you what I'm thinking about my day. I don't want to think about my day. And if I was, I'm not going to share it with you.
Which is also lovely to notice how when we're feeling small, when that first action needs time. This action, jumping out straight away. No, no, no.
No.
Just going to jump out. If I have to push you away, I will. If I have to run away from you, I will. Like, but it's just gonna do a little. Actually, as I do that, I even want to push you away.
See? Yeah. I think about how many times in a day that will come up in a less obvious, like I said, in that more subtle version of it. So many times. A
Mm.
lot of times with the kids.
Mm.
I'm being asked for something for the 500th time, and I've already explained why it's not happening. Stop now!
Yeah, I feel like the invisible wall that is created is on all the rules of what is right and wrong, what is acceptable, not acceptable, what is good behavior, what's bad behavior, what is successful, what isn't successful, and having all of those criteria to polarize from one to the side, and somebody sends me an email with caps on. I don't want to. No. All caps. That's obviously they shouting at me. That is not acceptable. Um, yeah.
It's very interesting you mention how if you're expecting something to go a particular way, you want something to go a particular way. If you've already got some quite fixed thinking going on about something, we were having a conversation about meetings earlier today, and I noticed it. I had a real moment because I've had some training on what makes for a good meeting, and what we were discussing was flying in contrast to what makes for a good meeting, and I could feel it was like this. The invisible, and I bet you felt it too, like the invisible wall was up, but it means that my communication off the back of that carries all of that, not for you, not with you, no thank you,
Mhm.
which is really not powerful
Mhm.
in creating good relationships.
Yeah, because that's the thing. As having a kid does something that does not fit the social norms. I mean, I don't know how I expect her to know what the social norms are because she's 4. She's got to learn them first. But that did not meet the social norms. All of a sudden, it's like, nope, no, no, sorry, I can't give you anything of me. I can't be nice to you. I'm going to now stonewall you so that you learn that this is terrible. I mean, so what do? Then I speak to her in a certain way. She has no idea what's happening. She can just feel this is not comfortable. So she reacts to it. A spouse, having a partner where he does something that is not okay, like he has not cleaned the coffee milk jug thingy this morning. Listen, I had a little moment. If I hold on to that, I can laugh about it. And don't worry, I'm not going to give him a hard time. But if I hold on to that, oh my gosh, can I just rip in? And do you know what else you don't do? And do you know what else you don't do? And do you know what else you don't do? The wall is there. My nervous system wants to respond. But perhaps what I can just notice in all of those is like, oh, the wall is there. This has gone against something that is important to me or that I hold to be
Yeah.
um, a certain value.
And that's why I love coming back to the definition. It's like of the body. It's
Mhm.
just of the body. And we can change the shape of the body and help us move into a more productive space.
Mm.
So maybe let's play with that now. And this one, you could call it the positive pose. Um, I mean, it's very, very aligned with Amy Cuddy's power poses. If any of you've ever come across her TED talk or the research, it's very similar stuff. You can do this sitting down, or you could stood up is really powerful. I'm not going to stand up right now because I'm going to go out of shot. But if you'd like to stand, uh, take your feet wider than hip width apart. So it feels like a very strong, sturdy pose to put yourself in. And even if you're sat down, you might want to move your feet so that they're wider than hip width apart. Um, really feeling into the ground, feeling your connection with the ground. Giving yourself a lovely upright spine. So it's just that signal to the spine that everything is, that you're alert, you're alive, you're present with what is. So a lovely upright spine. Just checking in with the hips as well. Um, it's nice to imagine you've got a big dinosaur tail coming off the back of your sacral bone, the sacrum at the back, and it lifts up ever so slightly and just create some space in your hips. Um, but also rounding backwards from the front of the hips. So if there's a little bit of rotation, there's a lifting at the back, there's also a lifting at the front. And allowing the chest to feel nice and open. And the crux of this one really is about lifting the chin. So if you take your eye gaze to really roughly the point where the ceiling meets the wall, and you're looking up, and I'm going to ask you to put a really big smile on your face and hold it. Just hold yourself being there and just enjoy settling into this position. If you feel like you're over egging or overdoing it, just relax it down a little bit. But just a natural, alert, very upright, upward focused, smiling space. And whilst you're there, maybe just again reflect on the day that you have coming up. And what do you notice emerging as thought, idea, emotion, sensation in the body? And if you're joining us, you're very welcome to pop responses into the live stream.
It's quite fun because I noticed my sense of humor wanted to come out immediately. Like, oh, gotta make something about the cobwebs in the corner kind of thing. I was like, I could feel like a playfulness wanting to come out as I do that. Also, I was surprised by how I was noticing opportunity. If that's just like, oh, I haven't connected with that person, or um, oh, there's just an idea of what we could do for our marketing or branding. So it was almost immediately something kind of evolved as where to move to next. I could feel my breathing and my stomach and my chest being so much bigger. Like I want to just fill up more space. Like I exist. I fill up the space. Yeah, I fill up the space. How much more space can I fill up as I do that? It's an inviting to want to be more of that. As it was an inviting to be more of this, but that spiraled me into more retreating energy. This is possibly spiraling me into extending energy. It has the potential if I'm overextending, but it more than that, it just felt like a joyful and inviting me to. I couldn't close my eyes. For the last two exercises, I noticed I want to close my eyes. For this one, I was like, close my eyes. No, I want them open. I want to see. I want to see what there is.
Really, really beautiful. Just noticing the contrast. I know that for me, doing that exercise, I just had a flash of an image of spending time with people later today and just feeling like it was a very sunshiny image of like, oh, I'm going to hang out with people later. So it was a really nice connection. But also, you might notice that as you're connecting into this, that this is so unfamiliar, it could even feel uncomfortable
Mm.
to move into that pose. And then, isn't that interesting? Or it feels uncomfortable to stay there for too long. All of that is just great information that we can take on this connection with our bodies and the signals it's sending and the patterns we've got. So really beautiful and powerful. And this is a wonderful one to do before things like meetings or having to go in to have important conversations or picking up tired children from school or whatever it might be, that just sets you up for being in that space and helps you to move out of some of the smaller feelings that we have that come up during the day.
Mm. So if something is getting you talking about that, like focusing on the little hole or the piece of the puzzle that's missing, this really helps you to see the big picture. This helps you to see the fullness of what you have to offer. This helps you to feel the potential and the strengths, the gifts, like what you have, which is really valuable in those meetings that you're talking about, Kim.
So I'm wondering if we could play with one more
Yes.
before we wrap up.
So the one I wanted to bring is it's kind of like a gentle comfort, in some ways a little bit of a self hug. um, but it's this idea of if you take your hand, I'd like to invite you to I haven't noticed where my body is. At the moment I'm still upright, but wherever your body is, it's less the focus. Here I want you to bring the focus on bringing your hands onto your chest in a very comfortable way. So if you want to go over a little bit more, take up more of your chest space, or for me right now, my hands just want to fall like this on my chest. I think there's also something similar where you can put your hands into a bit of a a crossover, but just noticing your hands gently resting on your chest. Well, I can feel I'm instantly wanting to sit back into it a little bit more. Maybe you've had this feeling of like a slightly heavy blanket on your chest. Not forceful, not totally light. Your hands are there, you can feel them. You can feel your breathing. You can feel your chest gently resisting your hands in quite a satisfying way. Once more in this moment, reflecting on your day, what do you notice coming up in your thoughts, in your emotions, and any physical sensations? And once more, use the chat as a place to capture your observations. Share it with us. What are you noticing, Kim?
It's so weird. It was just such a clear phrase in my head of, you've got this.
Mm.
Not so much getting into the detail of the day at all. It was just, you've got this. You've got this. It's a very, I noticed that I'm not pushing very hard on my chest. It's not, my body's not asking for a deep comfort at the moment. It's quite a light pressure that I can feel that it wants. And yeah, and I also notice a little bit of a shift in the tone of my voice. I feel like there's been a little bit of a deepening. Um, it's definitely got deeper, which is the vagal nerve at work. Changing the tone. As I've settled into more of my safety state, but just having sat with that for a little bit and connected to the thoughts and the sensations and the emotions. It also feels quite spacious still. I don't feel like things have got smaller. It just feels like it's what it is
Mm.
and I can meet it. Yeah.
Mm.
Can we do more of that one on a
Yeah.
regular basis?
I'm not quite interested in how much I want to just keep my hands there.
Yeah.
All meetings like this. um,
We're going live.
yeah, and even I also was aware of my voice changing. I thought, oh, I was like, I know this is where my voice wants to be. This is where my body wants to be. It's almost like I just knew it a little bit more clearly,
Mm-hmm.
with more authority.
Yeah.
Not to think it, it just does it.
Yeah. It never ceases to amaze me how, because of this vagus nerve that runs across the forehead, down the cheeks, I mean, it's why we often do this. It's a natural way of comforting the body, but that when we can't, you know, because 80% of the signals that the vagus nerve communicates are from the body to the brain, it never ceases to amaze me how powerful it is to shift the body, to shift the thoughts we have, the emotions we access, the actions that we want to take. Um, so using somatic work to create safety in the body is just beautiful. And it feels so natural once you start returning to doing more of it, because it is absolutely in our nature to work, to be in our bodies and to work with our bodies. So what we do within the course of This Is Me program and the other ones that we run is help you get really familiar with noticing the state that your nervous system has moved into, which nervous system is active, whether that's the sympathetic nervous system, the parasympathetic dorsal nervous system, or the ventral vagal nerve being activated for safety. And depending on which one is active in you, how you're feeling basically, you'll be able to pick out which movement is the one I need right now. How do I, when I'm aware of my body and what's going on, how do I now care for it and nurture it and look after it and support it into coming back and returning to safety? So you end up having a toolkit that you learned, like, the ones that work really well for you and others you might try later in the future. But it's a really like personalized, play with lots of them, see which one works for you so that you're always, always resourced no matter what's going on. And you can offer resource to others who are going through things. So yeah, it's just the most beautiful um, set of knowledge to walk away with. So if any of that's resonated with you, then please go and check it out. And do you want to share a little bit more about This Is Me as a program that's launching?
And just before I share, I something that's dawned on me to share with others is like this is a tool that you don't have to take an hour out of your day to go and do. Like each of the things we did today was maybe 2 minutes, maybe as long as that. Like
Mm,
it's something you can do as you finish work and as you're on your way to go and pick up kids, if that's what you're doing, or as you walk in the door before you get into any of your housework that you want to do or clean up something, just take a few moments to do it. Or when you wake up in the morning, or just as you're about to go meet up with friends or people that you don't yet know, or don't give yourself 2 minutes, and these techniques will work. The most challenging part of this, or the most I can't think what the word is on that one, but the fun is to figure out how you're going to spend those 2 minutes and which ones are going to work. And that's that. Come and explore with us. And that's the introduction to This Is Me. Come and explore yourself on our program, This Is Me, your nervous system. We take you through 4 different workshops over 6 weeks, starting with becoming aware of your body, your nervous system, how it's responding, moving into that, how do I respond to my nervous system depending on which state it's in. As I've learned to respond to my own nervous system, how can I relate with others and their nervous systems and where they're at so that I don't get wobbled off of my center, but instead can invite them into a grounded, centered space. And then how, in the last session, how do we create from the space of ventral? Now that we know how to access it, we're knowing how to tone our nervous system into the state we need it to be in. We can tune in and listen to those times that we're moving out of a ventral state into an extending or retreating space, that's sympathetic or parasympathetic dorsal. And all of it, those difficult moments, those challenging moments, those uncomfortable moments actually become quite juicy and delicious and full, and we create and choose from that space. So those are the 4 sessions we run. They're going to be run on Sundays from 12 to 4 p.m. British Summertime, BST. And all the information is on our website, theviewlooksgood.com/this is me. So if you want to find out anything more, have a look at more of the information there. Kim and I will be facilitating the session. There is, in between the sessions, we also offer online work that you can do asynchronously as and when it suits you, a time to connect in with each other in a coaching capacity, in a peer capacity. And what is really, and I know we shouldn't really say this about our own courses because other people need to say it for us, but I just know it's really delicious about the course is that we do a lot of peer work where you connect with somebody every day for just 2 to 4 minutes. And that part of the program, having that person walk alongside you, witnessing them, being witnessed by them, it is better than chocolates, and I love chocolates.
That's saying something coming from both of us.
So there are more things to be enjoyed at the course, but that's just to give you a taster of what you can expect if you come and join us, and we look forward to having you there. Thank you so much for being here today, for listening, if you're watching the recording of this, for watching this recording. I hope you have enjoyed seeing how your body can change and speak to you depending on where you move it and how you move it. And we wish you a most wonderful rest of your day as you go and play and become more aware of your body.
Thank you.
Thank you.